Hello, I'm Brian Adam, and this is part 18 of the operation of Oliver. Let's take a look this week to see where we are. One quick thing that I wanted to make a note on, when you're doing this type of thing, after you put the epoxy on about halfway through on drying, the best thing to do is make sure that your screw is level. It looks straight up and down even, so it will match the other where it has to go into the nut on the other part of the arm. And also, like on the screw, take like an envelope or something that has a good square point that's kind of strong to show you that it is even on all the sides. We're now going to fill this in all the way up to the top of the arm, maybe a little bit lower than that, with epoxy. And here's the one with the nut. We're going to do the same with this, fill it in. Of course, leave the holes alone and don't get any epoxy all over the screw, otherwise it won't work. And they screw together, and you can see it swivels. Perfect. Okay, so the next thing I'm doing is I've taken the washer, like I said, this is the side that has this the nut on it. I've taken the washer, I put epoxy around the edge of it. Just set the washer right around so it has clearance all the way. Just put the epoxy around the outside of the washer there. It's not gonna go anywhere. And now we're gonna fill in the rest around the edge with epoxy, and then it's just enough to give it like the first layer, and then later I'll come back and put a second layer, so that way it's not a whole bunch of epoxy drying for a long length of time. But that's what I'm doing now. Okay, so here's the end result. The screw is covered with epoxy around it, and the nut is covered with epoxy around it. This is Oliver's foot. I wanted to show you how much it moved, and as far as like the leg, it has this kind of movement to it. And of course it goes up like this. And then looking at it straight on, the foot has this much movement. Now I'm ready to continue. I had to cut this down inside, and I had to trim it back here to get it to be able to move up. Insert that goes into the foot, and you can see how that's been filed down. And then as far as the foot, what I did was I had to make sure that parts in here, this part here was filed down so this part here could move freely, and I had to make sure this was rounded so it didn't hit the bottom of the foot. And then there's that little curvature in the back, and a little bit of a curvature in the front. Okay, of course you've seen the hand that it turns, and also what we did was on the inside, you want to make it, you know, when you're going to take him apart and you're going to paint him and stuff, what you're going to need to do is make some sort of notation somewhere along the line of what part goes to what part when you start removing their legs and stuff. What I actually did is I put an L that I carved in there for left. And even though that I can see that this is the left hand, I even put an L here. I've also filed all this down to paint this area in here, so you have to kind of sand it down a little bit to make an allowance for the paint to go in. And then same on the arm, I did the same thing. I made it where it had the mobility that it can move the way I want it. Part that I like doing, this is just a straw, and it's just a standard straw. What I'm going to do is take that straw, get that rolled, and then basically what you do is just take a little bit of glue, And roll it in. And kind of let that tack. And then let it dry. Roll a little bit more. Oh yeah, and before I forget, cut off that extra part of the paper that you don't need. Toss that. If your straw gets stuck inside, always take a teriyaki stick and push it out. Now that it's ready for fiberglassing. It has been fiberglassed on the inside and fiberglassed on the outside. As you can see, it's 11 inches long. Then I cut each one of the pieces to anywhere between 1 inch and 1/16 inch long. These are the parts for the toes. And here's what it looks like with those pieces sitting on the end of the foot. We haven't drilled any holes. Hopefully this will work out. Might be a little tight. The type of cutting tip that I'm using right there, that's all white on the end. Okay, so here's the foot. Here's the hole that I've cut out. Pretty big, huh? Okay, so we've got the first 2 toes started on both feet. Let me see if I can show you some of this here. So I don't need a whole lot right now. So I'm going to put a little bit here. And I just have to make sure that I have it equal, pretty much the same. And I'll mix it. One of the reasons that I did the series, The Shrunken Head, is to show people how I do the build-up of making a caricature. I thought maybe that would help some of you out there who were interested in seeing a little bit more than I had put out on Oliver. So if you check out those sets of videos, you'll see that. To the first knuckle would be how big the toe is, and it would be about 1/4 of an inch. Well, on this it'd be 1/4 of an inch bigger, so it'd be 1/8 of an inch bigger on both sides than the thumb. This part here, it's just enough just to get in and fit in there. So what I'm going to do is basically take that. A lot of people ask me too, I get this question quite a lot, what do you use when you apply fiberglass or epoxy? What I do is not exactly the healthiest because it is toxic stuff and you really shouldn't get it into your system. And if you do wash, get it off as much as you can. See, it's because it's so tacky right now. I'll be able to do more when it dries. I'll be able to shape it with my fingers and I won't do that, what you just saw. But what I'm trying to do right now is basically just get it out to get the idea where the start is, so I know how close I can go to the foot without it adhering to the foot, because I don't want it to lock in right now. I want to be able to remove this because I'm going to sand it and shape it. I'll take the teriyaki stick, like I said, to smoothen it out, to get as close as I can. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. We have a lot of new viewers. It seems that we're really picking up momentum here, and we're real happy about that. We'll see you next time. So long.